Happy Sabbath, everyone. So our story, this it's a little bit sad, a sad story. It's one that has been in the media about things that happen among people who are believers and how it is dealt with. And then when it twists to the story. And this story is about Dinah, the only daughter of Jacob. Now, not much is said about Dinah, except Dinah was the daughter of Leah. And Dinah went out to see the women of the land of Shechem after being there. And after thinking about the story, I kind of had a little bit more compassion. So some version will tell you that she was raped. Some says Shechem took her and he lied with her. Nonetheless, he knew what the custom of the day was. And it's a little complicated whether either way, they were living in the culture of honor and dishonor. And if you're fond of those culture, you'd understand that to take a girl and sleep with her and not marry her is to treat her like a prostitute or a whore. And he would have done that and would have humbled her family, which means the family's honor would have been disrespected and to be seen as low level and being humbled by what Shechem would have done in their culture. So Shechem, according to the biblical word, if you molested someone, they were supposed to make do good and make it right and marry the person. I mean, nobody wants to marry anybody who has forced himself on them or raped them or tried to abuse them. So, but that was their culture. So we have to respect that too. What's not quite clear is, it would be that she went there and she was of a young girl, maybe in her teens, and he would have had sexual encounter with her, whether he overpowered her, according to some version, or it was consensual. He knew the proper thing to do. He was at the prince of the land. His father was the ruler, the Hivite. And so they came to Jacob and say, hey, Jacob heard. But even all this time when Jacob heard what happened, Dinah was still in this guy's house. Because after they went back and he said he wanted to marry her and he'd loved her and was in love with her and asked his father to go and get her as his wife, he says, name the bride price. I will pay whatever it is as long as you give me her for wife. And so when Jacob heard what happened to Dinah, he didn't respond. He waited for his sons to come. I guess for them to have a family meeting to see what was to be done. Many commentator again says when Jacob thought he lost Joseph. So there's a lot of people, a lot of story about what happened. And as you know, when things happen, everybody know your business more than you. So whatever the case was, I'm not going to get into it because the Bible didn't give us too much details. Whether Dinah felt unloved, as but she was the only girl in the family. So she would have. But then he says we can marry your woman, and she was the only girl for Jacob. So I guess her brothers had females, but she was only daughter mentioned for Jacob, right? So she would have been there helping mother, and her brothers who were older who had kids or wives. So there would be other females, and they were prosperous. So the guy was like, let's go approach them. They can take our daughters. We can take their daughters. We can live together. They seem decent people, you know. So they tried to make it right. So his dad come, willing to pay the bride price. And of course, the brothers, when they came, they were very angry and rightfully so. But they allowed their anger to become deceptive. And that's where the problem lies in my book. So Dinah was defiled and they were upset. So the honor of their family even meant more than asking Dinah what she wanted. So Dinah was a female, of course, she didn't have much say. Whatever brothers said went. The brothers became deceptive and they took over. So Dinah would have been their full brothers and sisters because their mom was Levite and Simeon were Leah's and Jacob's kids, and so was Dinah. So they took over. They said, no, okay, we can't give it kids to marry because you guys are not circumcised and or under all pretense of okay, we're going to forgive you. We're going to accept you're sorry, even though you defiled our sister. We're going to make it right, and you're going to marry her and take away her shame. They agreed to the marriage, but the guys had to become circumcised after 3 days when they would have been still in pain and very weak after the circumcision. They attacked men who could not defend themselves. And Jacob's argument might seem a little bit off, but there's some wisdom to it. You are of a lesser tribe. Now you're living in Canaanite country. And when you do that and the other nations hear about what you do, they can attack us and alienate us. Then the hypocrisy to the statement is you did the very same thing that you were complaining of. You killed the men and took their wives and their cattle. So that goes far beyond taking revenge for Dinah. Why kill the whole town when the whole town didn't do you anything? So Jacob said to them, whatever this thing you've done, it will be on you. And for those reasons, they've lost their space in the lineage. Now, there's a lot of abuse in churches, a whole lot of abuse. A church is supposed to be a place, a community is supposed to be a place where people are safe. And too many of us are keeping our eyes closed and saying nothing because of the status and the power of the persons here in this position. Here we see Jacob saying, even up until the point of his death, he told them their behavior and their out of control anger, irrespective of the fact that their sister was wrong. Not because somebody is wrong must give you the right to retaliate, as we often think. As mommy would say, you can have your right and give it away by the way you react and behave. Their anger was so flaming and furious like a volcano that they killed off a whole city of men, that some of them who didn't do them anything. And they've also disdained God's name by the way they behave. So the nations around would have heard the very thing the men said was they were reputable. The behavior of Simeon was not reputable. And I guess what their father was saying, you have to apply wisdom. We have fewer than them. We're in strange territories. They can harm us. Not that we're going to be afraid, but the deception to make them feel that, okay, we accept your apology, we forgive you, we're going to be one family, our stock is going to be your stock, and deceive them and kill them is disrespectful and disreputable. It doesn't undo what happened to Dinah. It doesn't make their behavior right either. It doesn't mean they're condoning with what was done to Dinah, but you agreed to put the bygones to be bygones. And whether Dinah was raped or she agreed or consented or he overpowered her, he did wrong because he knew that wasn't the way to go. And by doing so, even though he told everyone that he loved her and wanted her to be his wife to make it right, the whole concept of the story is disturbing. And the story have really dire consequences on those tribes of the children of Israel because of what they did to the men of Shechem. We have to be very careful that when we're angry, that we don't disrespect others, we don't mistreat others when we're angry. The Bible says nothing is wrong with anger, but be angry and sin not. You cannot undo words you say. You cannot undo disrespect. You cannot do stuff like that and harm and physical hurt you've done to others. Help us to be mindful of what we say to people, how we treat people, and that we respect people as God wants us to respect them so we can be a good light for those in need. Bless, bless.